You are watching Stripped Down Live, Saskatchewan's only live 1-hour local music showcase, the show that brings the venue to you in the comfort of your own living room and on the internet. I'm your host, Curtis Anderson. We did it in January, so we're back again. We're going live on Facebook Live, live on YouTube, and also live on Instagram. And the fun part about Instagram is we can't send the entire 5-camera switch show to Instagram just yet, so it's a locked off wide shot, which means if you've ever wondered what happens during the commercial breaks, and I know you have, switch on over to Instagram, and we're still live during the commercial breaks. It's usually just me yelling at the staff, but it's still a good time. I'm telling you that to tell you this. Tonight on Stripped Down Live, stick Graft. We got some cheering from the camera ops. That's rare.
Hey.
You're watching Strip Down Live with Stick Graft. Brian and Marie, welcome to Strip Down.
Hey, thanks so much for
It's
having
been a journey. This is my favorite part. Right off the top, I always ask, how did you hear about Strip Down Live?
me. Facebook.
Nice.
Somewhere, yeah. Somewhere on the music world Facebook. I'm trying. I know Artie Balkwill was playing. It was a few months ago.
Just in November.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was, and then your last performer. I'm a big fan now. Like,
Wow.
that was huge.
Respectful child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Respectful child. That was
Respectful.
wonderful.
Welcome to Strip Down Live.
Hey, thanks.
It's always great when we have fans of the show come on as performers. Okay, Stick Graft. There's been so many firsts in Strip Down history. So many firsts. We're on episode, we've got to be getting close to 250. I should
Wow.
actually start
Holy
counting.
Wow.
If it's episode 250 now, we should have a
Something.
big celebration, but I don't know. I ran out of fingers and toes. But first time we've ever had one of these on Strip Down, I believe. Should we start there? Should we start? Give me
Come
the
on,
lowdown.
really? There's got to have. No, okay.
I don't know. Give me the lowdown
Yeah.
of a Chapman stick before we meet you, and then I'll tell you what Wikipedia says about it.
Let's see if
See how
I'm
close
right.
it is.
It's the greatest instrument in the world. That's on Wikipedia.
That's
right?
what it says.
Okay, I thought so. It's a two-handed touchboard or tapping guitar, invented by Emmett Chapman in 1974 to embody this guitar playing technique that he created in 1969 called freehands, where instead of playing a guitar like this, if it's upright, both hands are more freer to play, a little chromatic, as opposed to this way, which your right hand doesn't fit real well on a guitar neck. So the guys that play that way, they would do like a peck and tap, but when it's upright, you can play chromatically. So there.
Our audio op, Davis, asked what the setup was tonight, and I said there's a flute and a guitarless guitar. That's how I... and then we broke it down from there. But okay, Wikipedia says it is a member of the guitar family.
Yes.
The Chapman stick usually has 10 or 12 individually tuned strings.
Or eight.
That has been used on music recordings to play bass lines, melody lines, chords, or textures, designed as a fully polyphonic chordal instrument. It can also cover several of these musical parts simultaneously.
Wikipedia didn't fail, right?
You had a good entry. Okay, let's get to know Brian and Marie. Just both accomplished musicians. I
thanks.
ran out of space. So give us the lowdown. Start with you, Marie.
Well, who I am?
Yes.
First of all, I'm a classical musician. I was trained classical musician. I took a big, long pause to be an RCMP member for several years after I joined the RCMP band. It was disbanded.
As you do.
Came back as a classical musician again in Regina, with the Regina Symphony as a utility. Joined the Quartertone Flute Ensemble, and it's only about 7 years ago that I discovered jazz. And only since last year that I discovered Brian.
Nice.
So it's a pretty new partnership, the two of us.
And you, sir, look incredibly familiar. We have to figure out how we know each other. There's got to be some sort of connection. It's been bugging me since you got here, but that's neither here nor there. Give us your history, the musical career that led you to this moment here on Strip Down
Musical
Live.
career, holy moly. I grew up in an unmusical family. It was school band that got me in the world. I was a French horn player for years. Went to school on French horn. While I was in high school, I played bass guitar, so I did both instruments in university. I discovered this instrument when I was in high school. There's a really famous band in Texas called Tin Hands, and the bass lines of their songs were played by a guy named Gary Mueller on this instrument. So I just thought, what is this 10-string bass? And everyone said, oh, it's called the Chapman stick, but no one can say anything other than that. So I asked around every music store. Nobody knew anything about it but one place. And so I was always curious about it. And I finally saw an ad in a magazine for it, a bass magazine, several years later. Called up, didn't have the money to buy one, but I, kept in touch with it ever since, and finally, ta-da! There it is, the first one. So
That's awesome. I was actually that was a further along the hour question.
Oh, whoops.
You see all these people that learn to play guitar and they have their idols, Cobain, the Beatles. I was going to ask who the Chapman stick icons are, but you kind of...
Well, that was definitely a Texas local. That was in the 80s before, internet and all that, so you just had to see a guy play one, and that was it. So
I am so excited for the next 50 minutes. This is just going to fly by, but we have to, it's time to head over to our social media correspondent, because of course, as I mentioned off the flawless intro, we are live right now on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on Instagram, in that one locked off shot if you're watching on Instagram. Let's throw it over to social media correspondent, back for another month. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bryn Kreisa. Bryn!
Hey,
Hey, welcome back.
thanks.
It's been 4 weeks.
I know.
We just keep hammering this out. We got to count. It's got to be episode 250. Got to be pretty close. Like within the next show or two, maybe. We'll,
I don't
we'll
know.
count
I honestly haven't counted.
Yeah.
You're the.
Everyone sticks out individually in your memory. You remember them all.
I remember a lot of them.
It's been a decade. All right.
Yeah, that's
Let's
crazy.
move on from this banter. What do you got for us tonight, Bryn?
Lots of people tuning in on Facebook,
Yay!
and I haven't checked Instagram in the last few minutes, but there are a lot of people tuning in there as well. No one has commented yet or asked questions, but please do. You can be entered to win a gift card to Earl's. And that's about all I have for now. But it's cool to hear that you enjoyed Respectful Child. That
yeah.
was,
That was a Bryn.
She was wonderful.
yeah.
The booking of Stripped Down is kind of like there's like 4 or 5 people involved with it.
Okay.
That's why sometimes you'll see your message was read, but not replied to for a while. So nothing personal for all those people applying out there. Yes, you can win a $20 gift card from Earl's. All you have to do is be interactive. The show's live. We do live for a reason. So ask Brian and Marie a question, or I don't know, do you take like jukebox, take requests?
Absolutely.
Non-copywritten
No.
requests? All right. Before we get to song number 2, what was song number 1?
That was called We're Where We Were. Sorry, I don't remember.
No, that's
what
fine.
did we play? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a while
that's-
ago.
That's a tune I wrote. That's the first song on my last album, a solo album. But we were trying to do all just new music, but that one just worked well for us. So it's music about, that album was all cover songs except that one. That was a new original. And the music is about going in circles, repeating yourself. So it fit the cover song theme of the
Perfect.
album. So
Before we get to song number 2 and take our first commercial break, we got to pay tribute to the sponsors, the people that make this show happen. Of course, our title sponsor, as always, is Earl's Saskatoon. Big shout out to Earl's Saskatoon. Let's move on. Hairstyle Inn, Red Swan Pizza North, and E-West Music are all sponsors from Stripped Down Live. Again, go support them. They support us. Hairstyle Inn in Lawson Heights Mall and the Circle Center, and Red Swan Pizza North on 51st, and of course our good pals at E-West Music. All right, shout outs complete. Where do we go next? Song number 2.
you introduced this.
Why don't farmers love jazz?
Why don't farmers love jazz?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Why? Well, I that's a big question.
I love it.
The first time
I can't tell if that's going
performed-
to anger Saskatchewan or make Saskatchewan
Well,
curious.
this is a
Funny
true
story.
story.
Okay.
First time ever I performed at the Regina Jazz Fest. We're in that beautiful venue, beautiful bar downtown Regina, and it's packed, totally packed. We start playing with our group, nobody's listening at all. We're not even done with our first set of 3 that somebody came to us and said, "Hey, do you know who you're playing for?" And we said, "No, we don't have a clue." He said, "It's a convention of farmers, and farmers, we don't like jazz. So would you mind stop playing, and we're going to pay you some beers."
Oh, that's a little on the nose. Okay.
So why don't
So
farmers...
inspiration from that.
Absolutely.
So this goes out
yes.
to all the people in that room that were horribly
Yeah, I
rude.
still hope that some farmers do like jazz.
You'd think
Let's
they would.
re-educate them.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Take it away, Stick
Okay.
Graft.
All right.
ladies and gentlemen, Stick Graft. We are spending 1 hour with Stick Graft here on Strip Down Live, and I love when this happens. Our social media blew up. You two did it. Let's throw it over to Bryn Kreis, our social media correspondent. Bryn, your fingers are going a mile a minute.
Yeah, I guess all I had to do is mention a free gift card, and here we go.
We're in.
Let me find the first question here. This is a good problem to have.
Right?
Jeff Coleman watching from Texas.
Woo!
And he is asking, Brian, is there a place where I could purchase your solo album? And does Graft plan on recording an album?
Yes, you could purchase my solo album. I have a website, brianbaggett.ca. I also have a Bandcamp page, but there's links on that website to the Bandcamp. And we are planning to record an album. We're discussing it today. We're going to probably start here in a couple months, and hopefully by the end of this year or before. Fallish,
Awesome.
We'll see. So.
Cool.
Yes, thanks, Jeff.
Can I squeeze in one more?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see here.
This is what the show should be like every week, but isn't.
Oh,
We want interaction, right?
Well, Heather Neufeld, Jay Neufeld's wife,
Yeah.
shout out to Heather. She says, so very chill, this is lovely. The Chapman stick has such a unique sound. Do you like it as is, or are you fond of playing with many different effects pedals? If so, what is your favorite sound?
Ooh.
I like it as is. I played that way for years because I was terrible at effects pedals. I think early on I bought a metal zone distortion, and that was the worst thing I ever did. that took me away from pedals for like 20 years, and then but I very slowly got back into it, and I see where there's different colors. But I have always used volume pedals because early on, when I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know how to come in softly, and it just always had a kind of a hard attack for me until I learned how to do a little softer. So I use volume pedals to kind of fake it. And so now I'm used to that. It gives like a bowed effect. So
Yeah,
there.
cool. One more? All
Sure.
right, let's do
Ready.
it.
Let's do this.
Let's see here. Well, you had already kind of answered this question as to what inspired you to pick up the Chapman stick.
Yeah. I'll say it again. 10 Hands in Texas was original. Well, that was what made me learn about the instrument. But it was actually a few years later when I told you I saw the ad in the magazine. I called them Stick Enterprises in California, and I bought a CD by a guy who was brand new at the time called Stick Figures by Greg Howard, who I just became a huge fan because his music, it was a recording, it was the first album, I think, of all Chapman stick with no overdubs and no effects and no other band members, just pure instruments. So that's when I heard, okay, I want in on this. I saw this was not just a bass instrument, it was kind of almost like a piano on top of guitar strings. So, and I since became a fan of Greg and end up knowing him, taking lessons with him on and off throughout the years. I saw him again last summer at a seminar in Michigan. So fine player. He's one of the premier teachers in our ranks. So
Right on.
Right on. All right, we got to get this train back on track here. We're burning through time, which is amazing, right? This third song, before we go to the fourth song, what did you play coming out of the first commercial break?
It was Stand Easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an awesome story behind Stand Easy,
Well,
like the Farmers?
It's more of a relaxed story. This one I just wrote on my piano on a Sunday afternoon when it was snowy,
Okay.
like it happens sometimes in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, so from like
So with a
September
glass
to
of wine
June.
on the piano,
Yep.
and I just felt relaxed. Stand Easy is an expression from the RCMP where you're not totally like on the sofa, eyes closed, not doing anything. Stand Easy is a more kind of a relaxed stance.
Nice.
Yep.
Song number 4 before our second commercial break.
this is Apathetic Woman and the Helpless Meaning of Man.
Stick Graft. Ladies and gentlemen, Stick Graft. We are flipping the format tonight with Stick Graft. No more commercial breaks. We're heavy on time, so let's just power through this. Let's throw it back over to social media correspondent Bryn Kreis. The questions, they keep coming in. This is amazing. This is what the show should be every week. See, here's the secret. Ask more questions, less Curtis Anderson. Everybody wins. Bryn Kreis.
All right, let's try to fly through some of these questions. Colton Benson has a question for you guys. First, he says, beautiful music. I've always been wanting to get more into jazz. I'm quite fond of jazz fusion. What are your favorite jazz artists or groups? And he would love a suggestion from both of you.
Well, for me as a jazz flautist, I go for Mo Kaufman and Bill McBurney, the two bass in my book, Canadian Jazz Flautists. They really inspire me.
All right.
Yeah, no, there's tons. I'm trying to narrow it down real quick. I'm a huge Pat Metheny fan. Pat Metheny, Lyle Mays. Lyle Mays just died 2 weeks ago. Pat Metheny group. There's a new guitarist out of Denmark on the ECM label, Jacob Bro, and I am just enamored with they're just a trio usually as he plays, and his album just sounds like a whisper, but there's so much going on. It's just, but then a lot of the classic. I'm a huge Miles Davis fan and John Coltrane, and I can go on and on. So,
yeah, it's always a tough question to answer. Yeah. Okay, so Angela has a question relating to jazz music. What are the greatest challenges with playing or composing jazz?
I would say for me, playing what I composed. Because I compose with weird chords sometimes because I never studied jazz. I don't always follow the normal rules, And then when it's time to talk about chord progression and improvising on what I wrote, it becomes really, really, I make my life really difficult. Yeah.
I don't know. Question again. Yeah, I don't even know if what I write is, well, jazz is, you can argue it is something involving improvisation, and that part's easy. The structure, and sometimes there's, I don't know, I live in the valley right now, and there's a lot of inspiration there, so just seeing something as far as writing and composing, yeah, just go for it. I don't know. Make it happen, man.
Yeah, the whole playing jazz is a whole can of worms. I've been there.
One more, and let's get to more music.
One more question?
Sure.
All right. Heather had a question in regards to the flute. I can't find it, but I can kind of remember it. She was wondering if you ever played around with pedals or manipulated the sound of the flute.
Pedals for me is kind of a new discovery with Brian. So I started using pedal this year only, but I want to add more. I want to have an harmonizer, which I think for the flute would be just perfect as well. And maybe one more looper and different things. So yeah, that's something that I'm interested in developing, but there's so many things that interest me in jazz and in flute and classical and baroque and everything. So just time that this.
How would you put your flute through a pedal is my question.
I have my
Through
mic,
the mic?
through my XLR, and it goes to the pedal and the next pedal and goes to my mixer and go to the amp.
All right,
Yeah.
quite a trail.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's all for me.
Bryn Price, thinking about putting down the bass and picking up the flute.
Yeah.
Hey, right on. Okay, second last song. Intro it, and let's get this episode done correctly.
Sure, this is a pretty experimental tune. This is titled Upon These Silent Plains.
Ladies and gentlemen, stick Graft. We are dropping commercial breaks and wrapping things up with Stick Graft here on Strip Down Live, our second episode of 2020. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
This was so much fun. This was a really solid episode. I love that you brought in such an audience. Thank you for that.
Wow.
Cool.
Thanks for coming.
So all things Stick Graft, check out stickgraft.ca. Is that
Yes.
get the information?
Yeah, and a Facebook page as well, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Any recordings anytime soon, or that's in the process?
Yeah, we did some demos about a year ago, and I'm kind of glad we waited a year since I think our music's matured and we've matured as a duo a little better. So
Nice.
We're planning to go serious here in the spring with some kind of new recording, hopefully to be released at the end of this year. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. I'm just so excited. Everyone's watching on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and our one locked off shot of Instagram. For all 213 original episodes of Strip Down before we came back to Strip Down Live, you can check out my YouTube page. It's just Curtis Anderson. Find me. And our social media handle is Strip Down Live SK. So follow that. Big shout out to our sponsors before we go. Of course, our title sponsor, Earl's Saskatoon. As I mentioned before, Tuesday, all bottles of wine are half price. Past that, we have EOS Music, Red Swan Pizza North, who feed us after every episode, and we're about to get some pizza here in about 10 minutes. And of course, the Hairstyle Inn, and apparently, Bryn Kreisa's hairstylist is actually watching. So shout out to the Hairstyle Inn. Bryn Kreisa. You know, I'm so happy that they sponsor us, and they have you. I don't want it to be weird here, but like, I love your hair. I'm so glad they get to do something, work on something other than this uninspired thinning mess up here. You know, they have a proper canvas to paint upon.
thank
So it
you.
looks great, Bryn. Any
Thanks.
particular shout outs to the hairstylists?
Shout out to Ella at the Centre Mall location. I went to her the first time like a year ago, and I've been seeing her ever since. She's very knowledgeable and good at what she does.
Bam.
Yep.
Hairstyle, and we got about 30 seconds. Can we sneak in one more question before we give you the proper 5 minutes to wrap things up?
Yes, there was one more question that snuck in actually.
There we go.
What inspired the name Stick Graft?
Perfect way to end.
My wife's idea. No, it was good. We're just trying to think, okay, we're blending our instruments, and they're both...
We have to say that the flute originally was in wood.
There you go.
Okay, so two woods together,
Yeah.
and
There you go.
we're hoping to make one team.
Perfect.
Beautiful. You know, of course we get a million questions this episode. You live in Fort Qu'Appelle, right?
Yeah, I do.
I spent many summers there. How long have you been there?
I've been there 10 years. This is
Oh,
my 10th
okay,
year.
that's
yeah.
okay. I was gonna do the remember when
No, I
KFC
was-
was the only restaurant there, but see, I had like 10 minutes of that ready to go, but that's
Some people still think it
you
is.
just moved there.
Yeah,
You're like
yeah.
you had a thing where it was like, you're from Quebec City,
Yeah.
and you're from like the Quebec City of Saskatchewan, Fort Qu'Appelle. It was gonna be hilarious. We missed out, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time tonight. Thank you so much, Stick Graft.
Thank you.
Thanks.